Hello, this is Julio Jovel. The biggest technical challenge that I've had to overcome this semester is making the connection between React, HTML, CSS, and Bootstrap. I am just learning React. I have no background in JavaScript, and so that's a challenge for me. Um, it's also significantly different from what I'm used to, which is Java, in terms of the components and classes and things like that. The last time that I was using HTML, there was no CSS. It's evolved quite a bit. And so trying to make that connection there and then the connection between Bootstrap and CSS is a big jump for me. Lastly, Bootstrap in general, I'm also learning. And there's many live libraries out there. Choosing which one is the best one for my project or which one might have more support is a big thing to overcome. uh, what I'm doing or what I have done in as a solution for this is a lot of research and a lot of trial and error. There's plenty of information and videos and just overall courses that can be taken on React, and that's what I've done. I've followed a lot of information, compile errors through Stack Overflow, trying to understand where I'm making my mistakes. I've also followed a lot of Udemy courses, just learning little by little, just trying to understand how the connections are made so that it makes it a lot easier. I've done a lot of research on the different Bootstrap libraries, and I've come to use React Bootstrap, which is a take on Bootstrap, but it's built by React. And so they were able to mash up a lot of things to make it easier for just developers to write and put out more interactive code. Lastly, the trial and error overall has been major for me. It, a lot of the compile errors and a lot of the recoding and rewriting code has made it so that I can understand quite a bit of where I'm making my mistakes and how do I avoid them next time. It's made streamlining the components and making going from writing large classes to just a simple function, uh, keeps the weight of the project down altogether. As far as the response or what I'm seeing from that is I'm seeing that I do understand a lot more of JavaScript. I understand when to make a class, when to make a function. I do understand more of the interconnectivity between the individual components, passing parameters as props and things like that. They didn't quite click before. Well, now that I've gone through a lot of videos and gone through a lot of challenges trying to make them work, it really has made a big difference. Uh, Choosing React Bootstrap also has made a huge difference with just the interactivity. Passing the, like I said before, we're passing the parameters to something that we're doing right now. We have models that show particular images, and so my latest user story is around getting the data from the models to display. Well, I initially had it on info cards and I had them pop up, which is fine. It gets the information across to the user as they select from one image to the next. Well, in order to streamline that, what I did was I made a carousel, which is generally used for images. I took the images out. Instead, I replaced it with the data information in there. So now every 10 or 15 seconds, it scrolls from one to the next and just keeps cycling. As you select a different model, it'll change over again. And so making that connection between one passing the props from one end to another component and then bringing it back and displaying it and rendering it on the screen is what I have been able to do just from that. It really makes a huge difference in one, the look of it, and two, the interactivity for the user. Instead of having just a base HTML type website, now we have something that actually does bring the user's focus. And that's something that I've been working on personally. Lastly, the CSS portion of it, where Bootstrap and CSS, they do have, so Bootstrap and React Bootstrap has its own CSS library that it can use, and I've been using that. And at the same time, I've been learning more and more, writing my own CSS, making small changes here and there so that it works best with my project and making sure that I have it looking the way that I want to look. It's been very, very impactful for me. Lastly, what would I do differently? I think and I know that I would still consider learning a new language for a different project. What I would do next time, though, would be a lot more research beforehand. Choosing and knowing where to start is a big thing when starting a new project. If there's so much information out there, you can't make that decision. You're only delaying it. And I don't want to do that next time. Also, learning a new language for me is challenging, and that brings about a lot of personal growth. It's going to help me understand how to integrate the components, not only within, but across different languages. So, the more that I learn from one language to the next, it's really going to help me bridge that gap between there, the same way that I'm bridging the gap between React, HTML, CSS, and Bootstrap in this particular project. So I would definitely do a new language, a new IDE. I have no problem with that. Just a lot more research beforehand before I say I'm ready to start.